So, hi, I'm Allie Miller, and I'm here today with Lauren Brown. And Lauren and I are both psychotherapists. We met at a nonviolent communication retreat several years ago. And since then, I've gone on to become, in addition to being a psychotherapist, I'm also a couples communication coach. And I got in touch with Lauren this week because she posted something very intriguing to me on her Facebook page. And what she posted was this question: what is it to be hurt and not blame anybody? So, what is it to be hurt and not blame anybody? I became very intrigued by that. And I posted a comment, and several other people posted comments. And then I reached out and I said, "Hey, Lauren, can we have a chat about this?" So Lauren agreed. Thank you, Lauren, for being here. And so she agreed to just kind of riff with me and talk about what led her to ask the question and share her thoughts on the question. So we'll just jump right in. So Lauren, do you want to, how would you like to start? Would you like to say anything about where the question came from?
Yeah, it's hard to identify the exact example that I was thinking of, but I was on Facebook and saw news feed, and I just can't help reflecting on the meaning of the headlines that I see and wondering why people do what they do or what it's like for them. You know, I'm a therapist, so that's kind of how I think. And I guess always the notion of blaming somebody for doing something harmful to another person is on my mind, because it's not satisfying to me. For one thing, it doesn't really help me feel that much better. I mean, there's a moment, maybe if I can identify the responsibility for the issue, but then what? And then what happens to the person who is in a state of pain, and someone else may have been responsible, or maybe it's circumstances, or maybe there's no one thing, and here we are with this hurt, and what do we do with it? So somehow I just became curious about it at that moment and shared it, and was surprised how many comments came in relatively soon.
Yeah, you got a lot of responses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did any stand out to you that you remember?
Well, I remember some kind of themes that showed up. One was people seeing it as maybe some kind of idealistic possibility to experience hurt without blame. So they reflected that, like enlightenment, somebody said.
Oh, yeah.
And there were a few that referenced being like kind of in a process, or that it would be a process, like grieving, mourning, forgiving, or, you know, just they're different terms for expressing how they would imagine relating to that or have done. And then, you know, there was probably a few more casual responses as well. But that's what stands out to me.
Yeah. I remember what I wrote was ouch. Like that it's like to be hurt without blame is just really feeling the hurt. And that is ouchy.
Yes.
I think a lot of times why we do blame is to protect ourselves from feeling the ouch, from feeling the pain of the hurt. It's like an attempt to spare ourselves the pain. But like you were saying, it's often not satisfying.
And or it leads to more hurt down the line. That's another problem associated with it.
Yeah. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Well, with the blaming mindset, then usually that leads somebody to want to do something hurtful or otherwise discharge their pain or hold the person accountable in a way that may be painful as well or harmful.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because they feel like that would satisfy their need for accountability or fairness or healing. Even like if someone is punished, then it would be healing for the sufferer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, and it involves yet more harm happening.
Mm-hmm. And the harm being that there's kind of a disconnect now, more of a disconnect between the two people, or what would you say the harm is?
Well, it's a broad context, so maybe I'll try to focus in a little on interpersonal, let's say. And
Yeah.
so if one person does something that the other one finds harmful, then the blame that comes from that would not lead to reconciliation between the people.
Mm-hmm.
And blame is, in my experience, less likely to evoke remorse on the other
Mm-hmm.
person's part. So if that's what they hear
Mm-hmm.
to address it, then it's much less likely that they'd be willing or able to engage.
Right. Right. Because when we're being blamed, we often get defensive, and
Yeah,
then we don't feel open-hearted towards the person who's blaming us.
right. I think it's instinctive almost.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, we want to protect ourselves.
Yeah, and seeing someone angry or directing their distress towards us, most people shy away from that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So what are you left with, like, from reflecting on this, in terms of, like, what is it, what do you think it is to be hurt and not blame?
Well, I think you captured it in your one word, ouch, to
Hmm.
be able to stay with it at all, to me, has the best chance of kind of an empowered way to deal with whatever happened.
Hmm. Empowered way. I like that. So it's something about self-empowerment here.
Yeah, because I suppose if there's anything we want to be able to do about something, feeling that we can is an important start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So feeling the ouch, feeling the pain, and then there's something about feeling it that allows us to do something about it in an empowered way.
Yeah, because the serenity prayer,
Mm-hmm.
um, about being able to tell which things you can control. That's the wisdom, and which
Right.
you can't, and then what to do in relation to those. So what can and I don't know about control exactly. That's a little bit kind of oversimplified for me, but in terms of being able to engage with it and possibly do something, I can attend to my state and my thoughts and my choices to reach out for support or advocate for myself or others or
Mm-hmm.
whatever else might come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I may not be able to do anything about what happened since it already happened
Mm-hmm.
or what the other person does moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
But those things that I can do start inside.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So directing our attention inside to what we're feeling when there's a hurt, as opposed to externalizing it and blaming the person, is kind of the beginning of an empowered approach.
Yeah, it would seem so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm focusing on couples communication. So I'm thinking about how this applies to couples who might be watching this.
Mhm.
And, um, you know, when couples are fighting, I often say, like, there's almost always blame, criticism, and judgment, or one of them, but often all three.
Yep, it's true.
And so if we're saying, okay, how about if you feel the hurt rather than blaming, then it's not like it'll necessarily be the end of fighting, but I think it will really diminish the fighting, and it kind of invites couples into a much more vulnerable space of saying, like, hey, I feel hurt, or hey, ouch, as opposed to, hey, you're a jerk, or you made me feel this way. So it's a lot of the work I do with couples is helping them kind of own their feelings, like you're talking about.
Mhm.
And I often talk about it as a very courageous practice, because to be that vulnerable, to say ouch or to say I'm hurt, as opposed to blaming, to me, it takes so much courage.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's being willing to allow yourself to experience something that you might have been protecting against.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would take some readiness to stretch or,
Yeah.
yeah, allow it to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it takes a degree of trust that the other person cares, right? If I'm going to say out loud, ouch, or say this hurts, I think it's easier if I trust that the other person is actually going to care about my pain.
Yes. Yes, it seems like a prerequisite that both people be in, engaged somehow
Mm.
in wanting to change things or repair or course correct or whatever's happening.
Right. Some sort of like interest in caring for both people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Feels like a pause to me. Is there anything else kind of bubbling up for you that you would want to share about it?
I suppose just the thought that if the person's not available in that sense, it's still helpful to attend to that same process, because that's
Mm.
where the chance for self-healing can still happen.
Yeah. Beautiful. I'm so glad you mentioned that. And that might be taking your pain to somebody else, right? Who does care about you.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, if this person isn't showing any care for my pain, or I don't think they're gonna, then let me either like direct that compassion to myself, that empathy to myself, or go to somebody else who I trust more easily will be caring about it.
Yeah, I think we all need interpersonal support in life for the most part. Um,
Yeah.
so it's good to have different ways to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, if you have further thoughts on this, Lauren, maybe we could do a part 2. But
Sure.
for now, this seems like a good place to stop. And if anyone wants to reach Lauren for any resources or further information about her thoughts on this, or anything else, you can reach her over email at laurenbrown66@gmail.com. LAURENBROWN66@gmail.com. And if you want to learn more about my couples communication coaching work, you can go to alliemillercoaching.com. And I'd love to hear from you. And again, thank you, Lauren, so much for engaging in this chat with me. And I'll say goodbye to everybody. If you want to say goodbye, feel free.
Bye, everyone. And thank you, Allie, for interviewing me. This was fun.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.